All right, this is a video with regard to the Hispanic leadership essay for Hispanic Heritage Month. So this is an example of some note-taking from two different sources. You see how the source was written up here, readworks.org, and then we also have harriet-tubman.org, which was a video that we watched from Harriet Tubman's website that's dedicated to her. So I did Harriet Tubman, and yes, I know she's not a Hispanic leader, but she is a leader, and I wanted to model for the children what it should look like when you do stuff like this. So I took, my focus was her leadership or humanitarian, things that you would consider as honorable. And I wrote those down, and those are my details from the text that I will be using in my middles. So we have, she worked as a nurse during the Civil War. She helped slaves reach freedom. She helped in recruitment of former slaves to report on Confederate troops. She found an herbal cure for dysentery, and she saved many lives. That came from the readworks.org article. And then harriet-tubman.org, the video, said that she did many selfless acts. She was known as Black Moses. She took slaves to Canada. She had never lost a passenger. It says conducted, but should be conductor of the railroad. She went on an estimated 19 rescue missions. She gave her life to make people free. She lived from 1851 to 1857 at St. Catherine's, and found homes for homeless, and in 1913, at the age of 93, she passed away. So those are my my research notes that I have. Then today I modeled a plan. So it is a BMME plan. They could put Hispanic leaders. I, of course, put Harriet Tubman because mine wasn't a Hispanic leader. So I decided for my beginning, I was going to go with biographical information. So I went to a couple of other websites, and since the focus of the essay is on the leadership of the person, I'm not going to cite my sources for these things. I can if I want to, but I don't have to because my sources have to provide evidence of the topic, and the topic is on, and I'll show you where they can get that information. So she was a slave from Maryland. She was the youngest of her family. She was born in they think about 1820, but there weren't records kept on slaves, so she was one of 9 children, and they say estimated between 1820 and 1825. She died March 10th, 1913 at 93. She escaped slavery in 1849. She suffered many physical injuries due to slaveholder violence. She married her first husband in 1844, and his last name was Tubman. And when she left, and it said on the sources, when she left to escape freedom, because she was an enslaved Black person, her husband was a freed Black person, and he didn't want to leave. So in 1869, she married Nelson Davis. In 1874, they adopted a daughter, and the daughter's name was Gertie, but I didn't put that on there. And she received a military honor death. So then my first middle, I'm going to focus on her work with the Underground Railroad, and this is information from my sources. Now, obviously, I'd put more into it, but I'm just writing some key points. She possibly went on 19 missions, and the V means video, so I know where to cite my source. She took slaves to Canada, which is cite my source. She was a conductor on the railroad, which V to cite my source. And she worked for freedom, which came from ReadWorks. My second middle, I'm going to focus on her service during the Civil War. So she was a nurse. She came up with the herbal cure for dysentery. She saved lives, and she was a spy for the Union troops. And then my ending is how I'm going to talk about how she changed the world or affected society. So she was an active abolitionist, and that is not spelled right. She helped many. She lived a long life, and she died at 93. So that is our plan, or my plan for writing. Between the research notes, the plan should take 7 to 10 minutes. The research notes will take a little bit longer based on your sources and what you're reading, but I believe it took me like 15-20 minutes to get through that. So now let's talk about where we can get some information. So I did collect some information for the students. I got some websites together. And if they go into their shared documents, so under Microsoft, OneDrive, and then shared documents, hopefully it'll come up in just a moment. Under shared documents, there we go. So I go under shared. Now for me it'd be shared by me because I'm the one that shared it, but it defaults to shared with me. And so they would go in there. I'm going to go into shared by me. And it is called Websites for Hispanic Heritage Essay, I believe. Let me click on that so it comes up. All right, so here is our essay. And it says Websites for Hispanic Heritage Essay. So they're going to describe how their influential person became a leader in the Hispanic community and how they shaped society for the better. So where with mine, I focused on two different aspects of her life, her time with the Civil War and then her time with the Underground Railroad. Theirs may be all one time, like there's one that is an astronaut, and it might be her whole entire service as an astronaut, or we could focus on her education and then becoming an astronaut. You just have to, it depends. So each of the students who are participating in this essay, we picked people, and their people are in here, and each of these are active link websites. Now, if the website doesn't come up, if you hit control, the control button, and then the bar here, so you would hit control and then this to make the website come up. If it doesn't, just copy and paste it into the URL. All of these are acceptable sites that provide information about the person. And they're all in here, and some of the children actually have some books as well that they could use to do this, and so that is saved. Hopefully, having all this, they'll be able to write their essay. They will be given some time during social studies to do this, but this is an additional assignment. It is a competition, so they can go ahead and work on it, and then I will conference with them, and we will get them moving forward into a complete product. It does need to be neat. If they want to type it, they can type it, and that's fine. And if they do type it, they can just share it with me on Office, and that way we can pull it up and look at it, and they could make corrections if they need to make them. Hope this video helps. Thanks for watching, everybody.